This episode of the Having It All podcast is sponsored by me, Matthew Bivens, and I absolutely love helping people launch and grow podcasts. My background is in digital marketing, and I'll be honest, when I was first presented with the idea of starting a podcast to grow my brand, I completely shut it down. I thought it was going to be too expensive, too time-consuming, and pull me away from what I really wanted to focus on in my business. But you know what? Shortly after launching the Digital Marketing Guy podcast, I realized that I could have not been more wrong. Podcasting quickly became my favorite and most effective way of reaching a global audience, growing my brand authority, and attracting my ideal client. Today, after successfully launching, growing, and monetizing 3 different podcasts, I help businesses and entrepreneurs do the same. To learn more about how I can help you break into podcasting, go to matthewbivens.com/podcast. Again, that's matthewbivens.com/podcast. Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I am incredibly grateful that you are hanging out with me today for this episode of the show. Today's episode was inspired by my own pursuit to understand the concept of being. So it's something that has come up a lot in the different circles that I run in, the different books that I read, the personal development or consciousness things that I listen to and watch, this idea of being, especially when in the context of being versus doing. So, for example, you might have heard or read things like being more loving, right? Or being more abundant, that having more love, happiness, wealth, joy, peace flow in your life starts from a place of being those things, and then you will in turn manifest or create or do those things. And, I've heard that in so many different places. So I don't doubt the concept. I don't doubt the validity of it. However, for myself, I can be very analytical, skeptical. I can be very much in my head. I can be very driven by logic and facts and science and data and all those things. So there are times when concepts like being and manifesting and things like that, I just quite frankly don't connect with them. I feel like the person who I'm talking to who's just telling me to be it, they really don't have any concrete advice to give, so they'll say something like, just be more abundant and you'll experience more wealth. And quite frankly, there's times when I'm just so sick and tired of hearing that stuff, and I just want to mush that person in the face, the next person who says, just be more abundant. So it goes without saying that as I was recently reading in a book, and I'll share with you all the title of the book, but I was reading and I come across this section of the book called the BeDoHave Paradigm. I was, on the one hand, sort of like, here we go again. But on the other hand, I was kind of interested as to where the author was going to go with this, because the book up until this point was very grounded to me. It was very based in fact, in science, and anatomy, in the physical world, and so I was interested as to what this guy had to say. So the book that I'm referring to is called Beyond Body, Beyond Mind, and the author is Dr. Sukhi Muker. Sukhi Muker, and it's spelled Sukhimuker. And I was turned on to this book by a couple of friends of mine who Dr. Sukhi is one of their mentors. And they said, hey, our mentor, Dr. Sukhi, wrote this book, and it's a pretty brilliant book. It's got some great concepts in it. I think you'd like it. And so, I accepted, and I said, great, super cool. And I just kind of started perusing, and, the beginning of the book is all about his story. And so I'm thinking, okay, is this entire book just going to be about this dude's story? Because I'm not interested in reading a biography. And then it finally got into some practical applications, some principles things that I personally was interested to sink my teeth into. So, it was early on in the book that I come across the BeDoHave Paradigm, and I'm going to explain that to you. So we've all, I think, experienced this on some levels, but we typically reverse it. We say have, do, be. So what I'm talking about is we will tell ourselves, that once I have something, I will then do something, and then I will then be something, right? So once I have more money, I will then go on vacations and buy these things, and by doing that, I will become happy. That is the have, do, be. So that's the reverse. And is not a very healthy or effective way to experience life, because you are putting your happiness, your peace, your sense of abundance, your sense of love, joy, whatever it is, you are attaching it to something external to you. You're saying, once I have more money, once I have a better job, once I have the relationship, once I have more time, then I will do this. I will, like I said earlier, I will buy these things. I will go to these places. I will be able to do these certain things. And by doing these certain things, then I'm going to finally achieve that state of peace and joy, or I'll finally be able to, you fill in the blank. And I've done that plenty of times. And I still do that. I still find myself falling into that trap from time to time. And I've experienced just in my life how ineffective that is. How when I get into that place, I might purchase that thing that I think is going to make me so happy, and then it's just empty. And as I'm speaking right now, I have a great example of this from a material perspective. Last Christmas, so it's 2017, so Christmas of 2016, there was a brand new video game on the market. It was a classic Nintendo system that had 30 games already loaded onto it. I'm a big 80s and 90s video game guy. I was born in the 80s, and so I really appreciated Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that stuff. So when I saw that this new video game was coming out, I was like, wow, that, it's that nostalgic factor. I'm like, wow, that would be really neat to have. I'd be able to play, Pac-Man and Galaga and all these great games that I enjoyed when I was young. A friend of mine knew that I was into those games, and she purchased it for me. So she purchased it for me, and then she tells me, hey, I bought it for you. I'm going out of town for the next 2 weeks, but I'll mail it to you as soon as I get back in town. So for those 2 weeks, I was just super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get my hands on this Nintendo. I'm gonna be so happy when I get it. It's gonna make me feel so great. And I vividly remember when I received it, it was awesome. Took it out of the box, set it up, started played for maybe 10 minutes, and then I put it away. Baby Maya was crawling near me, or Sarah wanted something, or there was a podcast episode I needed to edit. Life just happened, and I put down the Nintendo and got back to doing my own stuff. And I remembered how convinced I was that I was going to be happier when I received the Nintendo game. So I got caught in that trap. I was very excited about this state of happiness and joy that I was going to experience, that was going to sustain. I thought it was going to last longer than 10 minutes. And when I received the thing and got into it, it wasn't there. So I'm very, very prone to fall into that trap of the have, do, be. So let's flip it around. Be, do, have. That's the paradigm that Dr. Sukhi and myself are saying that is more powerful, more effective, and will lead to more of a lasting, empowering experience. So the concept is, it starts from within. It starts from inside of you, the beingness. Now remember, that's the idea that I just could not connect with, the beingness. And so what I really appreciated about Dr. Sukhi's book is that he actually lays out how to experience the beingness. And so I'm going to read from that chapter exactly what he says. So I didn't have it open. I do now, though. He says, to apply this principle, first you must be whatever it is you desire: happy, healthy, energetic, abundant, or compassionate from within. This may take some time, as you have to shift your present paradigm. You must ask yourself some questions. If I had X, what would I feel? How would I walk, talk, and relate to others? How would I behave and act? Essentially, who would I be? So when I read that, I was like, oh, dang, I have actual questions that I can ask myself. I know the X that I want to experience and what I would like to have. So let me put myself in this place. Let me try this out. So for me right now in this season of life, what I am interested in creating is the financial abundance. I want to be generating more income into my household. I want to be a magnet for money, and I want it to be effortless, right? I want it to be doing things that I love, to be effortless, providing insane value to people that they recognize and are more than happy to compensate me for. And so I have this figure, this number in my mind that I'd like to generate every month. Sarah and I have looked at all of our finances and expenses. We've gone through different, had conversations with different financial advisors to create this model, and I have my number. And so I said, okay, let me test out Dr. Sukhi's process. Let me sit with this. Let me close my eyes, go into a little bit of contemplation, a little meditation, and really feel what it would be like to be bringing in that number effortlessly every month. So I closed my eyes and I said, okay, let me answer these questions. If I had that income, how would I feel? And so I started thinking, okay, if I was making that, I think I would feel pretty great. I think I'd feel like, yeah, okay, I'm able to do this. All right, so there's a confidence right there. There's a little, maybe a piece of my confidence is attached to being able to bring in that income. That was something that I kind of noted. Okay, there'd be a little confidence boost. I would feel a little bit more at peace knowing that the financial areas I wanted to be able to check off, I can. That my expenses are taken care of. My lifestyle is taken care of. My wealth and savings are taken care of. My giving, being able to give back, that's taken care of. Interesting. Okay, cool. So I would feel great being able to check off all those boxes. There's a couple of things around the house that I've been meaning to get to, but the money that we budget every month for home, it gets exhausted in other areas. So I thought, wow, I would be able to afford to, hire that house cleaner once a month to come and help us out. Wow, that would feel great. I would love to be able to give that to Sarah. Nice, I like that. I started thinking about, this year, a lot of potential trip opportunities came up for Sarah and I, and we really, really love to go on trips. We love exploring and traveling and all that great stuff. And I thought, man, it would be fantastic to be able to say, yeah, you know what, let's plan a nice trip instead of, no, can't go right now. I gotta, cut back and maybe next year. So it would feel really great to be able to plan a trip and to go on a trip completely free of feeling like I have to watch the money, that I have to be very conscious about when I'm spending. It would be nice to go on a trip and just have a budget and know that I can spend this money and boom, go guilt-free. So I really started to experience what it would be like to be making that money, that figure, every month effortlessly, as if somebody just flipped a switch and all of a sudden my bank account just went up every month by that amount. And I was able to really, really connect with that concept of beingness, with beingness being that feeling or emotion when you are that individual. So when I am that person who's able to attract that financial abundance to myself, putting myself in those shoes and saying, wow, that's what it would feel like. All right, great. So then if that's what it would feel like, then what would I do? Do all those things that I listed. Wow, amazing. And then what would I have? So I went through the process of doing that. And again, for me, somebody who's had a very challenging time connecting with the concept of being and beingness, coming from, other folks around me who seem to have just grasped it a lot easier than me, It was frustrating. So for me to be able to connect with that through this book was powerful. So I really appreciate how, Dr. Sukhi kind of breaks that down. And I took it a step further. I was like, okay, the beingness part, that's the emotional experience, right? So I'm going to put myself with whatever it is that I want to create in my life, whether it's some healing in a relationship or, the financial piece, whatever it is, I'm going to practice putting myself in that emotional state. So what would it feel like if I had the warm, loving, supportive, deep, rich relationship with my sister that I would like to have? What would that feel like? How would I feel? How would it feel to receive a text message from her? Currently, it creates some anxiety within me. So if we had that type of relationship, what would it feel like? All right, great. So I can connect with that emotional piece. The next part is doing. And I said, okay, so if I was feeling this way, then the doing piece, I want to be taking bold action. I said, okay, that's something different than what I've been doing currently. Because I'm a firm believer that if you want to be experiencing something different, that you need to be doing something different. You can't do the same thing over and over and over and start expecting different results. So I said, okay, what bold action would I want to take for whatever it is that I want to experience? So I've got the being part of connecting with it emotionally. I got the doing part of taking bold action, doing something different, something that makes me maybe feel uncomfortable. And then the having part. Now that Sarah helped connect that last piece for me. And it's great because it goes back to the title of this podcast, Having It All. So I thought, okay, having, well, you already have it all, right? An abundant, loving life. Abundance, the universe is abundant. So whether or not I want to believe it, it's there. And it's evidenced by if you want to experience an abundance of joy, well, you can. It's there for you. If you want to experience an abundance of stress and anxiety, guess what? That's there for you as well. So I think, okay, wow, I already do have it all. So if I already have it all, then what I want to do is express gratitude for what I have. And that was the final piece for me. It's like, okay, let's express gratitude for what I currently have, what I had in the past, and what I will have in the future. So for me, what that looks like right now is saying, I am very grateful for the clients that I currently have. I'm very grateful for the people who are currently saying, hey, listen, I want to learn from your expertise and your knowledge. I'm a sponge, pour it on me. I will soak it up and, please help me move from point A to point B. I'm very grateful for all of those people. I'm also incredibly grateful for the people who chose that and allowed me to come into their lives in the past. The clients who I'm no longer working with, the clients from last year and the year before that and 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm incredibly grateful to them. But I'm also grateful for the clients that I will have. The clients who say, yeah, you know what? I am so willing. I am happy to pay you twice what you think you're worth. I have no qualms about giving you that money. I do it with a smile on my face because the value that I receive from you is 10x whatever you're asking for me to pay. So please, I'm happy. So I started to think of the gratitude in that way. Let me be grateful for what I have now, what I had in the past, and what I will have. And those are the three things that I'm currently swirling in my brain, practicing and moving with when it comes to being, doing, and having. Being, I'll recap it again. Being is that emotional experience. Let me sit in the shoes of Matthew Bivens, who's effortlessly attracting that money into my life, that figure that I have. Let me feel what that's like. That's the emotional experience. Doing, let me take bold action. Let me do that thing that makes me a little nervous, makes me scared. I mean, I've talked about fear on this show so many times and stepping into fears and that exhilaration and that peace and that confidence and that beast mode feeling that you get once you move through a fear. That only happens when you take bold action. And then understanding that we all already have it all and that abundance is out there. The universe is abundant. We can choose what we want to have an abundance of friends, an abundance of health, an abundance of misfortune, an abundance of bad luck, an abundance of being broke. That's out there. So it's that understanding that we have it all, and then being grateful for what I have now, what I had then, and what I will have. Those are the three things that really clicked for me this week, that I was like, dang, okay, I'm going to go and meditate on this a little bit. And, I've been practicing more meditation this week and more just being, right? Being, that's what happens when you meditate. You stop all the doing and you allow yourself to simply be. So being, doing, having. I would love to hear how those concepts have shown up in your life, how you've related to those concepts. If they're brand new for you, I'd like to hear what has come up for you after hearing this episode. And if they aren't brand new for you, if it's something that you grasped long time ago and you're thinking to yourself, man, it just took him a long time to get it, please share your wisdom with me, share your insight. Help me to further my understanding, further my practice of the be, do, have paradigm. And I appreciate my friends Matt and Monica for turning me on to this book. The book, again, is called Beyond Body, Beyond Mind by Dr. Sukhi Muker. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I apologize. And I'll have a link to the book on the show notes over at firesidenetwork.com. I've also got some great new things going on at MatthewBivens.com. I've started a couple of new podcast services. So if you're an online entrepreneur, if you're a speaker, a coach, an author, and you're interested in getting into podcasting, maybe you feel like you don't have enough time, or you don't want to put in the resources, or maybe you just have no idea where to start, go check out my website. I've got some stuff for you. And that's what I'm working with, helping businesses and entrepreneurs get into right now, podcasting, because it's something that I absolutely love. I have launched, grown, and monetized 3 different podcasts. So I'd love to speak with you if you're interested. And as always, if any of you have comments, feedback about anything on this episode or the show in general, please shoot me an email. My personal email address is mattcbivens@gmail.com. And I appreciate everyone who has emailed this week. Thank you so much. You can also use the contact form over at matthewbivens.com. That goes into my inbox as well. And with that, I just want to share some gratitude to you all for listening. I kind of flowed with today's episode. I didn't have anything scripted. I just knew what I wanted to share and just let it come out. So, it was what it was. If it was a little all over the place, took a few tangents, then I appreciate you flowing with me. With that, my name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all.